And welcome to the Disability Law Show. John Scholes, Sivan Tumarkin, welcome. If you're just catching us, we will cover you with your disability rights and injury law. If you've caught the show before, welcome back. Good to have you back watching us today. Lots of stuff to cover. We'll get to phone calls from our radio show. And in just a little while, the top 3 things you should never ask your doctor if you suffer from a disability. That is on the way. But first, we always start with a case you're working on. A bit of a week that was, Sivan. What do you got going on, pal?
That's right, John. So this week, I can tell you there is a case that I've been working on now for a few months. But it's made some headway this week. And what happened was earlier this year, I had a gentleman call me. He's a 50-year-old science teacher, father of 3, and he suffers from depression, anxiety, and a whole host of other mental health issues. And he's being treated by a psychologist and a family doctor, and both of them have said that he's unable to go to work. Both of them have said that he's simply disabled at this point from working, which is really what you need to demonstrate to a long-term disability insurer in order to qualify for long-term disability. Well, lo and behold, he gets denied. This is before he contacted us. He gets denied by the insurance company, and they're saying that he's simply not totally disabled.
Right.
There's insufficient medical documentation proving that he's disabled from working. And what does he do, unfortunately? He appeals that decision. Because remember, every time the insurance company denies your claim, they'll invite you to appeal. They're not telling you that it's an internal process that really, there's no pressure on them to reverse their decision. And so he does that. A few months later, gets rejected again, and then appeals for a second time, again gets rejected. And of course, at this point, he's thinking, well, there's no point even continuing, nothing I can do. He's even more depressed. Now he has suicidal thoughts. His wife contacts me, and I speak with them. I speak with both of them. I meet with both of them. I review everything. And I'm thinking to myself, there is no way that this person should not be on LTD. The insurance company is simply playing the odds that he'll walk away.
Yep.
And they did the right thing. And so I got involved, again, a few months back. And John, I can tell you we are in the process of negotiating a 6-figure settlement for this gentleman. And again, this is someone whom the insurance company has said, you do not deserve a cent. And now they're coming to the table trying to see if they can cap off. And what did we do? We simply applied some legal pressure on them. We started a legal claim, the legal process. We didn't go through this appeal nonsense. By starting a legal claim, we exert tremendous pressure on insurance companies. They have to come to the table and talk to us, or they're going to end up in court yelled at by a judge. So this is a feel-good story. I can still talk about it because we haven't settled yet.
Right.
Usually when there's a settlement, the insurance company wants to keep it hush-hush. They'll make you sign something that says it's in confidence. So this is a feel-good story, but very unfortunate that this family has had to go through this. But now that they have, they're going to get the money that they deserve.
Now, you mentioned he did appeal twice.
Yes.
How much time was he cutting it close with the 2-year? Because it's a 2-year limitation from the time you're first denied, right?
That's right. That's right. People need to understand you have 2 years from the date you are first denied long-term disability to start a legal claim, not appeal. You can appeal 5,000 times. If someone calls me up and says, I was denied initially 3 years ago, chances are I can't help you because there's a 2-year limitation period. The clock starts running from the day you are first denied. So don't wait. And this person, he wasn't cutting it too close because it happened earlier this year. But I'll tell you, there was about 10 or 11 months where he simply didn't have any money coming in.
Right.
They had to borrow from friends, from a bank at high interest rates to pay the mortgage. It's unfair. So don't go through this appeal nonsense. This is when you should be contacting us because we can start the process immediately to exert pressure on insurance companies to pay.
Simple too, 1-855-821-5900 to reach out, disabilityrights.ca. You can go there as well, get details on our radio show. And from the radio show, we like to play back the phone calls. People call in, they have interesting things to say. It's always an educating moment. So we'll get to our first phone call for the show right here.
My wife recently went on kind of a leave of absence from work through her doctor, and it was all related about stress leave and depression, and she's gone through a psychiatrist also to get assessments done. She's gone through her work through disability, and it's denied originally, and her 2 appeals have been denied also. So her family doctor and our psychiatrist are very shocked that it's been denied. She's on medication now, but I just wanted to know what my options are.
Yeah, what are the options?
Well, first of all, let me say I am not shocked. I understand why her family doctor and the psychiatrist are shocked. I am not shocked. This is what insurance companies do. What are the options? Again, the option is not to appeal those denials. They've appealed. They've gone through 2 appeals, just like the case that I was talking about at the beginning of the show. Again, these appeals are nonsense. What are the options? A legal claim. This is what we do every single day, myself and other lawyers in my office. And remember, we used to work for insurance companies. Myself, James, who's not here today, but he joins us on the show every so often. We do this every single day. So we understand where the pressure points are with insurance companies. And if you choose to play the insurance company's game, you will lose. It's like going to Vegas and trying to bet against a house. Yep. You can't. It's rigged against you. And so what do? We take the game outside of their sphere of control. We start a legal process, then they have to get a lawyer involved, and their lawyer tells them what their exposure is if we end up in court. Insurance companies are terrified of court. Regardless of how much money they have, remember, they don't want to lose that money. They're not in the business of paying out their lawyers. They're in the business of shutting down claims so they can move on to the next one, to the next victim, I would say, get whatever premiums they can, and pay as little, if anything.
And both you and James, who you said is absent here on the show today, you both worked on the inside, on that side of it, so you understand all of it, right?
Yes, I can tell you I've handled a whole slew of different claims. Yeah. And I've dealt with different insurance companies, and I've dealt with different adjusters. And I'm not saying that they are evil people. They're not. But they have a job to do. Insurance companies are entities that their purpose is not what they advertise, which is to, be there for you, to give you peace of mind. That's what they're selling you, right? House insurance, travel insurance, whatever insurance you have, they are there to make a profit for their shareholders. You don't want to be one of those people that they make the profit off on their backs.
Coming up, as mentioned off the top 3 things you should never ask your doctor if you suffer from a disability. That is on the way, so stick around for it. Don't go anywhere. DisabilityRights.ca is the website, and 1-855-821-5900. It is the DisabilityRights.ca. We'll be right back with more. Don't go anywhere.
You lost your job. They only gave you 2 weeks of severance per year worked. But where can you find out what you're really owed?
I'm going to severancepaycalculator.com.
Find out how much you're owed right now. Severancepaycalculator.com.
You've been denied long-term disability. You think you're powerless, but you have a lot more power than you think. I'll tell you a secret. It's a numbers game for the insurance company. They're betting on you walking away from money that they owe you. Don't make that mistake. We resolve disability claims all the time. We force insurers to pay what they owe. We're in your corner.
Call Sivan and his team, 1-855-821-5900, or go to disabilityrights.ca. You lost your job. They said they had a good reason, but you think you've been wrongfully dismissed. Now what are you going to do?
I'm going to employmentlawyer.ca.
Always check with the employment lawyer first at employmentlawyer.ca.
And welcome back to the Disability Law Show. John Scholes, Sivan Tumarkin. As promised, this segment, we got some important stuff coming up. We'll get to something as well that we like to call mydisabilityquestions.com. That is the website. But first, as promised, the top 3 things you should never ask your doctor if you suffer from a disability. Now, we had to narrow this list down because there's quite an extensive list. But I'm going to get to the top 3, and I know you want to expand on these, Sivan. Number 1 is this. Never ask your doctor to provide you with a report containing inaccurate or false information. Seems obvious, right?
It seems obvious. But, you have different kinds of people out there. Some people are who I call the superhuman people. They want to show that they're always okay. Maybe they're depressed or they have anxiety, but they don't want to relay that to their doctor. And so, they're concerned that if their doctor writes a report to the insurance company and it looks as though they're over-complaining about something, maybe the insurance company is not going to like that. Conversely, you have individuals who tell their doctors to write more than what truthfully is.
Embellish a little bit.
Embellish a little bit. You have to be very careful. Your doctors are there to help you medically. And many of these doctors are also going to be there in your corner if you need to fight the insurance company, if we need to get involved. It's extremely, extremely important that whatever the doctors are putting in writing as their opinion and observations is accurate. Because, again, drawing back on my experience many, many years ago working for insurance companies, their adjusters, their lawyers are trained to look for inconsistencies. So you want to make sure that you don't tell your doctor to write something that is false. Frankly, you shouldn't tell your doctor to write anything about your symptoms. Simply explain to your doctor truthfully what you're experiencing, whether it's a mental health issue or a physical issue or a combination of both. Be as truthful as you can with your doctor, and the doctor will do what he or she needs to do to make sure that the report accurately reflects what they've observed.
And detailed as well. As much
detail is very important, that's right.
Yeah. Number two is this, never ask your doctor to underreport or misrepresent the extent of your disability.
So again, that flows from the first point, but I want to emphasize that because I have had people in the past come to me, and it was obvious to me that they were in pain. And again, some of these individuals were in physical pain. Some of them, you can see that they're extremely stressed. And I've been speaking with spouses and family members. And yet when I got the doctor's records, not just the family doctors, even, treating psychiatrists and psychologists, something didn't make sense because people ended up asking their doctors to underreport symptoms so that they can keep their jobs. Right? You want to be very careful with that. Again, you want to make sure that you don't tell your doctor to write something that is inaccurate in any way. Your employer may tell you you have to be 100% functional to be able to be here. So people may end up telling their doctor, can you please not write that I am having back pains, even though I'm telling you and I need medications for that. Be very careful what you tell your doctors to write or not write, because if it's false, it will come out at some point and it may harm your case.
What we were talking about is the top three things you should never ask your doctor if you suffer from a disability. Number three is this, and it dovetails nicely in the last one. Never ask your doctor to claim that you can return to work if it's not completely true.
John,
Don't be a tough guy.
My God, people rightfully are concerned about their employment. Rightfully, they're concerned about how their employers, their managers, HR, whichever company they're working for, that those companies will treat them right and will not send them home. And you do the show with Lior here about employment law. Employees have rights vis-a-vis their employers. Employers can't just do whatever they want. So you have to understand, if you tell your doctor to write you a note saying you are good to go back to work, but really you're not, the insurance company, when you make an application for long-term disability, or if you are on long-term disability and they get the file, the doctor's file, and they see that note that you ask your doctor to write for you, they're going to point to that and they're going to say, your doctor says that you can go back to work, so therefore you don't get long-term disability. We've had to do some damage controls in many instances to try and figure out how to work with the doctor to massage that message, because really it was inaccurate. The intention there from the employee or the claimant was that the person simply wasn't getting anywhere with the insurance company and the person needed to earn money. And despite the fact that they weren't ready to go back to work, they needed to try to go back to work. So despite their doctor's recommendations, you can say, twisted their doctor's arm, and their doctors wrote that they're able to go to work, when in fact that was not the case. And so the person then failed at their return to work. They weren't able to work. And at the same time, when they applied for long-term disability, or we tried to get involved, insurance company pointed at that letter and said, your doctor said that you're able to work. So what's your problem? So be very careful. Again, the message here is let your doctors do the work they're supposed to do. If your doctors are saying you're unable to go to work, it's against medical advice, heed that advice. If you don't, it could come back and hurt your case.
Plus, if you do go back to work, knowing in your own mind that you're not supposed to be there, does it not take time to get you back on claims? Is there not a delay that you don't need? Right?
Absolutely. You're talking about the recurrence clause that policies have.
Yeah.
You've been on LTD for a few months, a year, 2 years, however long. You think you're ready to go back to work. Your doctor is a bit iffy on that. Whatever. The doctor, let's say, approves you to try to go back to work. You try to go back to work, but you find that, no, you know what, you're still not ready.
Doctor was right.
Doctor is right.
Yeah.
You can go to your insurance company and say, I want to be put back on claim if it's within a certain period of time. And most policies that I have seen have a 6-month recurrence clause. What that means is that if you've tried to go back to work and within that first 6 months you're not able to, you can talk to your LTD adjuster and say, it's not working out, it's documented that it's not working out, I want to go back on claim. If they refuse to do so, to put you back on claim, this is when you contact us immediately and we will force them to pay you. Coming up here, what you should do if your insurer claims you aren't totally disabled. We'll get to that after a short break. Stick around. It is disabilityrights.ca, and the phone number anytime, 1-855-821-5900. The Disability Law Show. Stick around. More to come.
You were being harassed, and when you said something about it, you're the one who lost your job. Now what are you going to do?
I'm going to employmentlawyer.ca.
Always check with the employment lawyer first at employmentlawyer.ca.
Insurance companies deny long-term disability claims all the time. They give lots of excuses. Don't give up. I've seen it all. They've ignored your doctors, they've ignored you. You're angry and you're frustrated. But there's hope. We resolve disability claims all the time. We force insurers to pay what they owe. We're in your corner.
Call Sivan and his team, 1-855-821-5900, or go to disabilityrights.ca. You thought you had a secure job. You didn't see it coming. Now what do?
I'm going to employmentlawyer.ca.
Always check with the employment lawyer first at employmentlawyer.ca.
Hi there, welcome back to the Disability Law Show. John Scholes, Sivan Tumarkin. A great tool, a wonderful tool for you to use anytime is mydisabilityquestions.com. You can go there, ask your questions. There's a very high probability that your question in some way, shape, or form has been asked and answered in detail by Sivan and his crew. If not, leave it there and they get to it rather quickly, and I mean that. We'll get to the first one for today, pal, and it's like this. He says, again, from mydisabilityquestions.com. My sister has a chronic illness that affects her lower back and has become more depressed as a result. She was on short-term disability but was denied LTD. The insurer said there was insufficient medical documentation and she wasn't, quote-unquote, totally disabled. We've heard that before. I don't understand what that means. Her doctors say that she can't work. What can she do?
Okay, so let's focus here on two phrases that David mentioned. Number one, insufficient medical documentation.
Right.
This is a common reason/excuse that insurance companies use to deny long-term disability claims. And what does that mean? I don't know what that means. I don't know any more than David does. I can tell you what the effect is. The effect is that you're not getting paid when you should be getting paid. So when an insurance company says there's insufficient medical documentation to prove your disability, basically what they're saying, I think, is that we're not convinced. And, you know, I have seen situations where doctors, and I'm talking about not just family doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, orthopedic surgeons, specialists, neurologists, brain surgeons, oncologists dealing with cancer, where they've written detailed reports and the insurance company still comes back and says, insufficient medical documentation. Okay? Nonsense. If your doctors are saying in plain language or medical speak that you cannot work because of your disability, that should be good enough for the insurance company. If it's not, this is where we come into the picture and we force them to admit that it is. Second issue here, the phrase totally disabled.
Yeah.
Again, we've spoken about that quite a lot. People think when they hear totally disabled, rightly so, that you have to be totally disabled. Yeah. The word totally is what, you know, focuses your attention
You're thinking
on that.
bedridden, can't move, nothing.
You are thinking about something catastrophic. It includes that, but the bar is actually a lot lower than that. It doesn't mean you have to be catatonic. It doesn't mean you have to be in a wheelchair. It doesn't mean that you have to have a brain injury. None of that. All it means, for the purposes of getting long-term disability, is that your doctors are saying that because of your illness or injury, or both, whatever you have, you cannot do most of the functions or the substantial functions of your occupation, or any occupation if you're beyond the 2-year mark.
Right.
So when the insurance company writes that letter to you or the email saying insufficient medical documentation to show that you are totally disabled, and your doctor said that you are disabled from working, from doing your occupation, or any occupation really, you have a case. It's that simple. I'm telling you that right now. This is when you contact us. This is when we look at the denial letter. We look at the medical documents. Within 5 minutes on the phone, I can tell you if you have a case. There's nothing to it, and it costs you nothing. I can give you that information. Other lawyers in my office can give you that information, that advice. And at that point, you can decide how you want to proceed. But I can tell you, if I tell you you have a case, chances are you have a case.
1-855-821-5900 is that number. Email is quite simply help@disabilityrights.ca. We're going to bounce over to email now. This one, Vincent says, my wife is a teacher and has been on long-term disability for over a year. She was told her benefits would expire after 2 years, but her psychiatrist says she's not ready for any type of work yet. Her union said that they could appeal the decision. Should we let the union appeal before we start a legal claim?
Vincent, no. The answer is absolutely not. First of all, we've talked about appeals already, and many times before. Do away with those appeals. They are useless, all right? They're detours stall tactics, and only after you go through a few rounds of those and understand how useless they are do you end up calling us, and then we get everything back on track.
Right.
Now, unions, they're there to help you, or that's the idea, that they're there to help you as an employee. The thing is this, they have no expertise with long-term disability claims, which is why many unions, and we see this with teachers, I love teachers, we help a lot of teachers. Some of them have been very high profile. We've had, TV news anchors do stories on some of these individuals that we've helped. And, there is no reason why we can't start a legal claim immediately against the insurance company. We can bypass the whole appeals process. The union is not there to deal with long-term disability. And frankly, I've seen cases where the union has said, we should do X, Y, and Z, and that was actually the completely wrong advice. I've had even one case, I remember, where the union gave the advice of appealing, and the person kept appealing over and over. And by the time they came to me, 2.5 years had elapsed. Remember the 2-year limitation period? We couldn't help. And again, the union wasn't doing it because they were being malicious. They were trying to help, but they don't understand what the process is. For the vast majority of unionized employees, we can help. Not for every unionized employee, but for the vast majority of them, we have helped countless teachers in exactly this kind of a situation that Vincent is describing that his wife has been dealing with.
Now, Vincent's wife's case a little different. She's right on LTD, long-term disability. But if one is on short-term, should they apply for long-term?
Yes, they should.
Do that?
They should. You have situations where sometimes the short-term disability is being paid for by the employer,
right,
and the long-term disability is by an insurance company.
Sure.
Sometimes it's the same insurance company. Sometimes there is an employer that pays both. Every case is a bit different, which is why we tell people, if you hit a wall or you see that there is a wall you're about to hit, such as they're giving you a heads up that there is a problem, maybe your payments haven't been cut off yet, but they will be cut off in a month, 2 months, 3 months, you call us immediately. Don't wait.
Bridge the gap, right?
Yeah, because you're gonna hit that wall. The insurance company is not bluffing here. So you want to make sure that you contact us immediately. Again, short-term disability, but specifically long-term disability claims. This is where the money is. This is where people are really concerned, because they're concerned that they're not going to be able to work for a long time. What do they do for money?
Yeah. Again, disabilityrights.ca and 1-855-821-5900. As I mentioned before, mydisabilityquestions.com. We'll get to number 2 from that particular resource. Savan says, Gina says, I've been off work dealing with anxiety and depression for just over a year. Recently, my insurance company informed me that my LTD was going to be cut off because there were photos of me posted on social media from my cousin's birthday party. My doctor encouraged me to try and be more social. There you go. How can they cut off my insurance for this? Is there anything I can do?
Well, first of all, we don't have enough information here, but let's assume that the photos we're talking about are the photos that you and I get when we go and participate in a wedding or a celebration. We sit with people, we're
maybe
perhaps smiling. Exactly. I'm not talking about a situation where there's video footage of her, doing
jumping
the
off the roof
rumba or
into a
something.
pool.
Yeah, I mean, look. It clearly, if there are photos and videos showing that she's extremely active, again, despite that, her disability is a mental health issue disability. She's not saying that she can't walk. She's not saying that she can't stand up for 10 seconds or something like that. That said, you have to be careful what you post.
Yep.
Insurance companies do look and will look. They will look at your LinkedIn profile, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Whatever they can get their hands on. That said, I have seen quite a lot of insurance companies use a gaslighting technique. They'll say, aha, we saw a picture of you walking your dog. We have video of you, going to the gym and swimming for 10 minutes, despite the fact that the doctor said that this would be beneficial for this person.
Right.
So as long as there's no major inconsistency between what the photos or videos or posts are showing and the disability that's disabling you, there's no reason for the insurance company to cut you off. But I want to talk about that, John. Gina says here that the insurance company informed her that her LTD will be cut off. Notice that, will be.
Get a warning.
It hasn't happened yet. Many people fall into the trap of trying to appeal that, thinking, oh, I have 2 months until I'm cut off. Maybe I can persuade the insurance company. Maybe I can persuade them not to cut me off. You're not going to. Trust me, you're not going to. The chances of you being able to persuade them that they're not to cut you off,
slim and none.
My chances of winning in Vegas and retiring today are better than that.
Totally.
But some people do that. They think they have time. Time is on their side. It's not. It's not. The insurance company put a wall, a cliff right there. if you proceed forward and you don't contact us, let us help you before you get off the cliff, before you get to the edge, you're going to fall off. I'm telling you, the payments will end.
Help at disabilityrights.ca. That is the email address. The phone number, again, 1-855-821-5900. This email comes from Sophia. Sophia says, my brother has stage 3 colon cancer. His doctors have all said that he should not be working because of the chemo and the radiation treatments. Despite this, he has been denied LTD because the insurer said there isn't enough medical proof that he can't do his job. How can that be possible?
Insane. Insane. Again, remember what the insurance company is trying to do. It is a numbers game for them. For every X amount of people they are denying a claim for, a certain percentage of those people, a high percentage, either go through this whole appeal nonsense
And go nowhere.
Or they walk away.
They save coin.
They say insurance companies are left holding bags of money. That's the thing people need to understand. And you know, it's your bag of money. I mean, if I can help you get that bag of money, I will. And I'm telling you, here's how you do it. And it's money owed to you. You're not robbing a bank.
A lot of people think it's a windfall. They
think it's a windfall. People think, oh, you know what? It's just like you, a lawyer on TV, telling people to get money. This is why your insurance rates are up. No, this is money owed to you. We're talking about, you know, the justice, really.
Paid.
Yeah, insurance companies they're not paying all these settlements and all this money because they feel charitable, you know. This is not charity for them. They are doing it because they have been forced to do so. But unless you take a stand, unless you understand that you have that power, and this is where we come in to help you do that, the money that is owed to you and your family, that's going to stay with the insurance company forever.
Yeah, stage 3 colon cancer is crazy, though.
Crazy. Listen, I've had cancer in my family. This is a brutal disease. And you think that of all illnesses out there, this is something that would be a no-brainer? I can tell you right now, without even knowing much facts here about the circumstance, I can't imagine that the adjuster that denied this claim, I can't imagine that person has little to no sympathy. I give a little bit more credit to adjusters for that, but they have a job to do. Their job is to protect their employer, the insurance company. And if they can deny your claim, if they can put more money in their employer's pocket, the better off they're going to be in terms of their job and their position.
Let me get this one in quickly. Martin writes, says, my wife is on long-term disability for a degenerative neurological condition. She's made remarkable improvements, but she's not out of the woods yet. She's 37 and works in marketing. Her employer has been very accommodating and is keeping her job open for her. Her insurance adjuster said that because she's improved so much, they wanted to start a return-to-work hardening program. But her doctors, well, they don't agree. So what does she do?
You follow your doctor's advice.
Right.
That's it, period.
Always the doctor. Right?
Always the doctor's advice. If the insurance company is forcing you or trying to pressure you to go back to work or try one of these work hardening programs, be very careful. Because by doing that against medical advice, you are going to be harming your health. Remember, your doctors have your best interest at heart, not the insurance company. The insurance company's interest is to pay you as little as possible. From their standpoint, if you go back to work, they stop paying you.
Right.
Right? Your doctor is the one you should be listening to, or doctors. And I've seen more than many instances, in fact, where people haven't listened to their doctors, and they've been much, much worse off. You do not want to be in that situation.
In that work hardening program, are they going to start, tossing possible jobs at you that just seem kind of a little below your pay grade, or just completely crazy?
Well, they're going to try and either shift you to different kind of work. They're going to, I mean, in this case, luckily the employer is very accommodating, which is fantastic. You don't actually see that a lot, unfortunately.
Right.
So the employer, I mean, kudos to the employer. But yeah, the insurance company is going to try and do whatever they can to either figure out if there are transferable skills. Maybe you can do another job. Maybe there is something else you can do within the company. Maybe you can do the same job, they'll tell you. Maybe we just need to get you to do more physio, and that's hurting you. You have to be careful. Listen to what your doctors are saying.
Again, the doctor always has a trump card. Follow the doctor's advice, right?
Your family doctor, your specialist, whoever's treating you, they are your trump card. They are who we use to pressure the insurance company to pay you.
Lots of great resources there. You can reach out and use any of them, as a matter of fact. That was from mydisabilityquestions.com. Again, mydisabilityquestions.com. The phone number, 1-855-821-5900. Read a few emails today. We like to build those up and get them on future shows, so feel free to email us or email Sivan. And James should be back on the next show, so we'll have him answering some as well. Help at disabilityrights.ca. And as always, the simple website. You want to find more details about the radio show as well, disabilityrights.ca. That's all you got. There's tons right there. We will catch you again another time right here on the Disability Law Show.